Well, the United Kingdom is one of the few European countries where forced adoption is practiced. Social workers are allowed to take children from parents they believe are unfit to provide adequate care. After the RT documentary was aired earlier this year, Lukyanenko has now lost the right to even see his son, with the UK court saying it was due to exposing the child to media attention.
RT channel came kindly and made a film, Forced Adoption UK. They took interview from me, took interview from my son. My son was shown in a very good light there. He played piano, he went to Russian school, it was all fine. But to their view, I exposed my son to some sort of media. They're simply scared that Russia today will expose what is going on with my son, because not a single British company will do it. They are not allowed to interfere in the children's services. She said that I inherited Holocaust trauma from my father. And because of this psychological, trauma, I can't be a good father to my son. They took my child, I cannot see him, and now they made a care plan. My child staying in foster care till he is 18 years old. To my view, there is no justification for what has been done to my son.
Well, Lukyanenko has continued to protest the decision. He's been asking people to watch his story in an RT documentary, which the UK court has now forbid him to do, together with naming his son.
I inherited Holocaust trauma from my father. And because of this psychological, trauma, I can't be a good father to my son. They took my child, I cannot see him, and now they made a care plan. My child simply scared that Russia today will expose what is going on with my son, because not a single British company will do it. They are not allowed to interfere in the children's service.
Hello everybody, and you're with Katie-Jayne Swallow from Families Destroyed by the State. I'm here today with Maria, who's a grandmother of forced adoption. Hi Maria, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's Maria Griffiths. My daughter's been following your group, and she's getting very active in the group, and seeing her plead for her child and everything, which is my grandson. We're coming up to 6 years. 6 years now we're coming up to, and the pain grows, and it gets more intense actually, because you're getting that little bit closer, and you're getting closer to being actual strangers, to my grandson. So I thought I'd support Kelly really, and show her that that I'm proud of her for what she's doing.
While we're speaking about Kelly, would you tell us a bit about what Kelly was like growing up?
She was quite a funny child, a loving child, very loving, loved animals. Yeah, she was a beautiful child. She's funny, she's a great sister, great company. Yeah, I'm very close to Kelly, very close.
What was she like as a person?
Loving.
She was developing and growing up.
She was loving, very friendly. She loved all of her friends, all of them. She virtually lived with them. Yeah, she had a.
I can feel how close she is with how she is with me. She's an absolutely amazing person, and so welcoming from my perspective.
Very close. Yeah, very loyal to her friends. She's been no problem at all, really, no problem at all.
What was she like as a mum, like a first-time mum with Riley?
To tell you the truth, I messed up, you see. I went into a different relationship, and I lived in Yorkshire, and she did stay in Yorkshire with me for a while, but when she got heavily pregnant, I think she got a little bit scared, and she ran back to Manchester to her dad. So we didn't have that bond, we didn't have that closeness really. Kelly was left to do it by herself with little Riley, and she only had her dad with her. So I was in Yorkshire, and the time she gave birth to little Riley, I had 2 small children of my own. So I was busy in my own world, and Kelly was busy in hers. She was busy with him, and she used to share videos and everything, and she was surrounded by her friends, and yeah, I thought she was doing really well.
Did you have a close bond with Riley?
Very close, very, very close. Yeah.
Riley like with Keller?
Oh, he adored her. He adored his mum. He adored them all. Him, Alicia and her friends. Yeah, he was well in there. He was well loved.
What happened to change all that?
Kelly wanted to be a family. She didn't ever set out to be a one parent. That did upset her. And she tried to get on with the dad to Riley. There was an incident and the police got involved. Now, Kelly would not listen to the police. She was adamant that the father to Riley would not slap him. So it became an issue. That was the issue. And the police took Riley from that point. They took him straight away from that point and said, right, that's it for you. And they took him into a 72-hour emergency care. And that was the start of it. And that was the start of it all. To tell you the truth, Kelly didn't even tell me. Nobody told me. I had to find out. You know, Kelly had put this little post up about an hospital appointment saying that her heart was absolutely tore out of her chest. I just knew, and just knew something was bad. I tried to get hold of Kelly. She wouldn't speak to me about it. I got onto Alicia. This is Kelly's best friend, and I was terrible to her. I said, "Now you tell me." She went, "Maria, I'm sorry. They've taken the baby." With that, I got onto Moss Side Contact Centre. And I said to him, I said, you know what? Please let me be involved with him. I'll turn myself inside out for you. I'll do anything you ask me. Let me be involved. No, that was it. Nothing from them. Then I got in touch with Longside Social Services. This is where this is the department that I've took him. And I begged them with all my life. Nothing. But then, next thing I know, I get an appointment. I had to come from Yorkshire to Longside Social Services. And I sat down with this young girl, and it wasn't about me. It wasn't about me being able to take care of my grandson. It was to sit down and dish some dirt on Kelly. And that was it, really. To tell you the truth, Kelly she hasn't really gone into details about a case. I've not asked her. It's not my story to tell, you know what I mean? But yeah, we lost him. That's the point, we lost him. Kelly didn't really get much of a chance. She got put on contact. I think she was allowed to go once a fortnight for an hour. I know, and she did everything they asked her to do. She did everything. If they said jump, she jumped. She was polite with them. They didn't give her a chance. They didn't even say, right, come here, girl. We're going to put you on a parent course. We're going to do this with you. We're going to do that with you. None of that. She didn't get a chance. She got no chance at all.
I'll put on some lights, although you probably have very good light on the camera. Well, the first thing we need them to do is, as quickly as possible, find cheap lodgings, because obviously they can do that in a few days. Often they can do that in 3 or 4 days. I think the older you are and the more alone, and the fact you become a widower, I think that gives you a certain amount of independence, that you can take risks and do things that I don't necessarily want to say too much about myself. Social services are saying the state knows best and families cannot be trusted and parents are a threat to their children. I and my colleagues say evolution has decided, not the state, that the best people look after children are the parents. Up to 5 years ago, there was the only abuse was physical abuse, neglect and sexual abuse. And we put this physical abuse and neglect in the same category. So then there were 2,500 cases each year reported to social services in the UK of physical abuse, neglect and sexual abuse. 2,500 causes for intervention. Over the 5 years, a new category has come into being called emotional abuse. And last year there were 13,800 cases of emotional abuse involving social services intervention, because this is the result of an unholy alliance between social workers and the psychiatric profession.
Then there's also the concern about the capacity of some parents, and it's become particularly contentious around adults with learning difficulties as to what is their capacity to parent children. And again, some judgments are being made by medical profession and others that some parents should not even be given the chance to parent because people are not confident that they have the capacity to parent.
We've got William, who's 12, is my oldest, and Grace is 7, and then little Sam is just 5. When all this sort of first started, we did take a holiday. We went to Ireland for 2 weeks. When we first left, we weren't sure whether we were taking a holiday or whether we were just not going to come back. At the time, we really didn't know what to do.
Yeah, can we go on together?
The other parent went to the police to do what they call a Sarah's Law request, which is basically to check on his background. There was a false allegation against Darren a number of years ago by his ex-wife, which was proven to be false. They wanted to visit us in the early stages every 10 days to 2 weeks. They visited our children in school without asking our permission or advising us that that's what they were doing, which caused problems in itself. For a couple of weeks after that, Grace was actually scared to go into school. We came across so many stories of children being taken for the most spurious reasons, and of course once they have your children it's very difficult to get them back. But now our case is closed as far as social services is concerned, and you know, we will carry on with our legal action against them. But as I say, if there's a knock at the door and I'm not expecting somebody, it's scary, and I can't do that anymore. So we would consider, you know, in the right circumstances, financially and what have you, we'd consider leaving the country.
And unfortunately, you know, a lot of people don't know how to react when they first come into their lives. You know, they think, well, you know, we haven't done anything wrong, so we just, you know, we just work with them, and it's one of their favourite phrases that they use, you know, work with us, and that they don't want to work with parents. You know, they want to misrepresent them, lie about them. You know, we have learnt an awful lot, so where we can, we share and support people. I put together people's court paperwork for them. I'm always researching the law because there's so many instances where the law is broken.
I mean, this is one of the letters that we did to the Minute, Darren. This is the one that we did where we asked them.
They accused us of me abusing the 7-year-old. They accused Catherine of having an incestual relationship with what would have been her 10-and-a-half-year-old son then.
Tried to say that Lucas was his father, didn't they?
Yeah, because he had Down syndrome. They were saying that Lucas was Jonas's father. We had to disprove that, which we did. We had no words with that. For 6 to 7 months while he was in care, we kept saying to people he was in serious trouble. I went and fought the interim care order on the 4th of October with my solicitor, saying he's covered in bruises, he's ill all the time, he's sick, the dog's jumping, he's constantly,
sore bottom, didn't
he was coughing and choking all the time. Because
diarrhoea.
And the foster carer said no, he doesn't have that anymore. Yet he was taken in on the 8th of October, waking up not being able to breathe, and now it's been proved that when he had his autopsy, because he eventually died in foster care, he had the rotavirus, which is caused from dog faeces, which he was constantly coming into contact, stinking of dog mess.
This is part of my diary. He was still sleepy in the car. They took him inside to wait for the foster carers. His face was flushed and he was very hot to the touch. He was so hot that he had wax leaking from his ears. He could not see out of his right eye as it was stuck together with nasty green matter and crusty discharge known as conjunctivitis. So, yeah. And that was what he looked like. Thinking about Kerry, how's she doing?
Well, she's really not well at the moment because she's stressed.
Right.
So it's causing physical symptoms and the pregnancy's suffering because of it.
I'm not Mark's lawyer and I leave the legal side of things to the lawyers. However, my understanding is that he's pleaded not guilty to a charge. Quite a minor charge, by the way, a charge that the social worker has brought against him, and which certainly the solicitor believes is a malicious allegation.
This way.
Yeah, don't worry. About 5.5 years ago, their troubles started. Kerry went into hospital, had the child, and within a few days the baby was taken off of her because of concerns passed on from social services in Fife. And it was at that point we became involved, because we as an organisation at Nursing Matters advocate for breastfed babies where authorities are interfering with the relationship, and our involvement has continued to this day. There's some possibility that the case can be thrown out, and that's because John Hemming MP said in Parliament that the case was vindictive, and being vindictive is not a good reason to bring a case. So it may be that we can get the witness statement discredited on that basis.
I'm here for quite a minor breach of the peace trial, and it's against social workers in Scotland who took my children away. And I'm here today to basically defend myself.
Children, one is in long-term foster care and one is pending being placed with adoption or on an adoption order. Nikki is a mum, and she's only just found out yesterday, that she can actually fight these orders. Parents are not told what they're able to do in this situation, and they are put on a hiding to nowhere. So I'd like to introduce you to Nikki, and so just to explain how they got involved, what's going on and where she's up to now. So I believe they have your children, Nikki. And how long has it been since your children were taken?
1 year and 3 months. They were taken on the 16th of October.
And when they were taken, was any support package put in for you?
No.
And can I ask why they've taken your children?
They've based it on from future emotional harm from the youngest, because he was problems with dealing with his behaviour and stuff. And because my youngest is disabled, they think that I'm going to do exactly the same, but then they're not giving me the opportunity to prove to him that I can actually cope with the youngest one. There was no problems with the youngest one at all.
What do you mean by he's disabled?
He's got cerebral palsy, which affects his speech and mobility.
Now, so you're saying that you've got 2 children, you've got one with cerebral palsy, you wanted some support, and we've spoken before, and your mum and your dad support you, your dad was living with you, so there was nothing wrong, you just needed to put a package in place. And did you get any support?
The only support that I got was that I got from a family support worker, and she did help, but then when they seen that I was actually climbing and improving, things started going, the social worker started putting bad comments and saying no. First I was allowed to have the the help and support from family. As soon as they seen how much help I was getting from them, that was it. It started saying, no, you're getting too much help now. And then that was it.
And where's your case now?
My eldest lad, he's in, full-time foster care, but I'm now still waiting on a date to go back to court for my youngest, as I had a phone call a few days back from his social worker to say that the adopters had filed adopters.
For your youngest child?
My youngest child.
So there's no drugs? No alcohol? No issues in terms of your parenting?
No. Only with me youngest, me eldest. Only with me eldest. But because I asked for help with that, the only help I got was court to say foster care.
So this is a family who, as a mum, she has 2 children. One who's older, who's about 13.
He's 11.
11.
Yeah.
And a 3-year-old?
Yeah, 3-year-old.
Who's now facing an adoption order. Now this is a family that social services could have put in a support package to meet this family needs. But rather than doing that, they've placed their oldest with long-term foster care and her child is now to be placed with adoption. Now Nikki originally was told that her final contact would be in March and she's now been told that this is February. Now this is a hiding to nowhere. We really do need to halt the adoption drive. It is in chaos and families like Nikki can be supported to keep families together, and as she said, her mum and her dad were supporting her. And what are you going to do if they adopt him?
I'll continue to go to court and fight every step of the way. I will do what I can to get that stopped. I will not stop.
We can't let go of our children. It's not like you can just walk away from a child that you've given birth to. And parents like Nikki are here to say, we love our children, we want our children back, we're willing to work with the system to do so, but they're not giving parents a chance. And parents like Nikki and 13,000 other parents who are in the UK, this is not just a UK problem, this is worldwide, but here in the UK the system is in chaos. We thank people like Nikki because parents are scared, they are gagged. Parents are scared to speak out, but it takes people like Nikki, like myself, to speak out. So together we can expose what's going on in the system and we can reform and turn things around and bring our children home. So thank you, Nikki, for speaking out. And you really are a lovely, lovely lady. You've got a pure heart. I've known you for a while now, and we've got a really good network over on Forced Adoption Exposed. So thank you for speaking out. I really do hope that you have a success story, and we're going to get this revokement in, freeing order. And please people, you can appeal, you can do revokement orders, you can do freeing orders. There are other ways to get your children back. When they tell you you'll never see your children again, remember, all children return home. And we're going to bring our children home. So this is Forced Adoption Exposed, Kelly Cotton. You can go to forcedadoptionexposed.com and together we're going to halt this adoption drive.
Hello everybody, and it's Katie-Jayne Swallow from Families Destroyed by the State. I'm here today with Keller, who's a dear friend of mine and I work very closely with. Also admin on Families Destroyed by the State. Kelly, would you like to introduce yourself and what's brought you here today?
Hi, I'm Keller. I'm here to tell my story of why my son was adopted. My son was taken from me at 10 months. Due to a police incident where the police was called because Riley's nana said that Riley's dad had slapped him. I wasn't present. I wasn't there. I went to pick him up and then the next day social services came knocking saying Riley needed a check-up at the hospital. When we got there, the police was waiting in the room and they basically forced and took him away from me and made me leave the hospital through the back door.
Did they get you to sign anything when they had you in the hospital?
Yeah, a Section 20.
And for everyone who's not aware, a Section 20 is a voluntary care order. It's what they use to temporarily put a child in care for respite or for multiple different reasons. I spoke with Kelly earlier, and from the sounds of it, it did sound as if you were coerced into signing it. Would you say that's right?
Yeah, they basically said if I didn't sign it, they was going to go to court on the same day, and they was going to take him either way anyway. So
you basically picked the better of two options that you were given?
Yeah.
Did they inform you that you were allowed to seek advice from a solicitor or have anyone else there in the room present with you?
Yeah, well, they advised me to go get myself a solicitor. I didn't have a solicitor at that point.
Did they say you could speak to one before signing, or was it a case of you have to sign this now and then you can go for a solicitor later?
Yeah, that's what it basically said, yeah.
And do you feel like they've basically found you guilty of a crime that you've not committed before or without even any evidence?
Well, the social worker had written the report without seeing me and Riley together that I was emotionally cold towards him. Now, she'd never even seen what I was like with my son, so she hated me from the start.
How many kids do you have, and how many do you have either in care or adopted?
I have 3 children. I've got Riley, who's been forced adopted, and then I've got Roman and River in my care.
How old was Riley when he got adopted?
2.5.
How old will he be now?
He's nearly 7 in November.
So he'll be 7 in November, so you've not seen him for about 5 years, if that's right.
Yeah.
How do you cope on a daily basis?
Do you know what? I don't cope. I don't cope. If I didn't have my other 2 children here, I don't even know where I'd be.
What's it done to you, having Riley ripped from you, as they did?
Well, I feel dead inside. Now, they said I was emotionally cold. I am now after what they've done to me. It's hard to talk about because my mind's not even there anymore.
No, I completely understand what you mean.
It kills me every day.
I just returned from court and they've granted an interim care order on this beautiful little baby, 3 days old. Obviously quite upset, and we're going to fight this all the way, trying to split us up, trying to take our children away from us. But we've got about an hour with an ad before the foster carers turn up. It's going to take our baby off of us. Said we're allowed 3 contact sessions a week, 2 hours, not allowed to bond with a baby. Judge granted the order, doesn't like us, clashed with her from day one, asked to recuse her, and took my children into care after that, and now granted this little one to be taken away from us. And their agenda is adoption, forced adoption. We've got to do something about it in this country. We can't continue to allow this to happen. Loving families having their babies taken away from them on unfounded claims to our local authority that are making money out of this. So this is the first of many blogs I'm going to be putting on social media, and we need as much support as possible. So please get in contact.
Hi.
They're not willing to help you solve that problem. Ireland will say that yes, there is work to be done, but they'll show you the ways in which you can accomplish that. That is the difference.
Hello.
Hiya.
How are you?
Good, yeah.
We're just doing a documentary.
What documentary?
Yeah, it's about people moving from England. That's Daisy, and she was the one that was forcibly adopted in 2012 in March. She'll be 4 this year, so that'll be a big day for us. We normally just light a candle and we get a bit of cake, so for her. No, I'm not allowed any photographs, so I don't know what she looks like now. It's really sad that I won't be able to see him unless she chooses to see me when she turns 18 and she decides. It's like a grieving process that you go through. Like, it's like she died, but she's still alive, but you grieve. And I had to work through a lot to get through that grief. There was a lot of grief there for her. So that's how I lost Daisy, and all because of things that people did to me as a child. I was in care myself, and I had a really bad upbringing from both my parents through drinking, and my mum used to be a drug user also.
and I was brought up in care, and I was known to social services, and over the years I've suffered from depression, I've suffered from mood instability throughout the years, and that's the reasons why I was specifically targeted by social services.
Give her a brush, look. Oh, pony.
Yay! You're doing a good job there, Frankel.
Yeah, look.
2 weeks before Frankel's due date, a social worker came to our house with paperwork to say that he was going to be removed at birth. And within 3 or 4 days, we packed all our life into a van, we hired a van, booked a holiday home in Ireland, and it was the most scariest thing I've ever done ever. Once we got over to Ireland, we didn't know what to expect. It was Christmas. We knew that services weren't going to be open. It was a very lonely, frightening time because Christmas is like a family thing, and we had plans for Christmas that we were going to spend with your family, weren't we? Yeah. And all that was just literally destroyed, but we knew that we just couldn't let the social workers take another baby because we knew what they were going to do. They were going to take it and adopt the baby. And we drove, as we were driving to the ferry port, just feeling sick and stomach going over, and then we got on the ferry, and then we were sat there on the ferry, and then as soon as the engines went boom and they started, oh, it was the best feeling ever, because we knew once that ferry started moving, that was it, they couldn't touch our baby. I won't go back to England. I will never take these kids will never go back to England, because we know if we take the children, and I don't know how they'll find out, but social services will take the children.
I know parents that have wanted to and have committed suicide. The worst thing that can happen to most parents is to have your child taken. It's worse than death, you know. So it's wrong. They say Britain has the most robust child protection system in Europe. We can't argue with that. But our response is that Britain may have the most robust child protection system in Europe, but it's the only European country from which families are fleeing. Well, the McDougall's case is a very important case. McDougall's went back and their 2 Irish-born children were indeed seized. If they win their case, and it is ruled that the children cannot be seized and the children are returned to them, it means that hundreds of other parents here can now take their Irish-born children back to Great Britain to see their grandparents safely. So this is where you are. This is nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
unusual. So she's okay. She's just being monitored, is she?
Yeah.
Good. Cramps.
Yeah, she's got constant stomach cramps.
Okay.
She's just having a few complications.
When is she due?
June.
We could drive her down here, no?
We could, yeah. She probably would do that. One day I want to apply for Irish citizenship because I don't want to be a British citizen anymore after everything that's happened.
You want to renounce it?
Yeah. I don't want to die a British citizen.
Not only do you want to leave the country, you want to give up your citizenship.
Yeah, because it feels horrible that I'm associated with that.
That's pretty angry, isn't it?
Yeah. How are you?
Yeah, all right, not bad.
It's good to see you. So.
Well, basically, they just says that I've got mild to moderate learning difficulties. It's nothing, well, I don't think it's major. It won't affect my kids' life. Well, I'm pregnant again. I am worried, which is understandable. It's too much stress and too much worry on my plate at the moment.
This is in Scotland. With the last few weeks before my children were taken, I knew that they were going to be taken, so I thought I'll document every day of their lives. We just filled every day with fun. We'd go somewhere nice, go for something nice to eat, you know what I mean? We'd stay out until the sun went down, you know what I mean? Because we knew they were going to be taken. Yeah, sorry. And like, that's what I was doing there. Like, we were out until about 9 o'clock in the evening because the sun was still shining. I was thinking, this could be the last day I have them. Kerry told me to record it because she knew that it would be useful in the future. Here we go. So you're taking our children away?
So what we're here to do is to make you be aware that it's a very short-term order, it's an emergency order that will
Don't give me that rubbish.
children to be in.
Don't give me that rubbish. So can I get this right? You took my children away because you've been told that we plan to move on.
We've got concerns that you're planning to move on.
And that is the reason that you're given. It's hard for me to listen to this. Oh, yeah.
I love you so much, Chris. Love you and Lachlan so much. Just remember tonight when you're lying sleeping and you're in your bed tonight, just always remember that I'm thinking about you, yeah?
Ben was clinging on to me. Because Ben, he was 4.5, he knew what was going on. You know what I mean? So Ben was just clinging on to me like this because he didn't want to go.
You come and eat, eh? Come on, Ben. Come on. Come on, Ben. Don't take my hand. Don't take my hand. Please. Don't take my hand. Please don't take my hand.
The system is going wrong a very large amount of the time, but it tends to hit the people who are poorer, who are immigrants, who are perhaps not so intelligent or articulate, the people who are not so influential in society. And the biggest problem is the absence of independent evidence, because all the evidence, all the strings are controlled by the local authority, the Children's Services Authority. And unless you have independent evidence in the system, you're not going to get independent conclusions, because at the end of the day, the judge relies on the experts. The experts are including the social workers who are employees of the local authority.
Social welfare, the welfare of a child, is the most important kind of issue. So if a child is brought to the attention of police or social work or doctors or whatever, because something is wrong, the principle is always, how can we help? Whether that child is offending or whether that child is at risk or in need, the principle is always, how can we help?
There are some cases going on where the parents are challenging that adoption order, and that's a very hard one because legally at adoption they are no longer a child of those parents. The courts normally say even if it was wrong to make that initial decision, to upset the child again and move them back is not necessarily the right answer. Because adoption stays with people for the rest of their lives. This isn't a short-term decision. This is making a decision for the next 70, 80 years of that person's life, that they look back on that time in their life and they say, but why was that done? Why was I taken away without the consent of my parents? Why was I not allowed to stay in touch with my family?
As with a lot of these cases that happen in the sheriff courts, they're basically held off for an extra few months. You could go there, you could wait all day, and there's other cases that are more important than yours, so they're seen first. I have to return to Scotland in May for that case. Kerry's 4.5 months pregnant, almost 5 months pregnant now, so the baby will be due in June, and we're hoping that before the baby comes that the boys will be back in Ireland. We know that even if we don't get the children back straight away, once we go to the courts we'll be treated fairly and the children will be returned to us eventually, because we've already proved ourselves as good parents in Ireland. Definitely the children will be traumatised for life, and it will take a long time for them to be normal again once we get them home.
I can't go back. Reason being is because Fife Council will take the baby off me if I return back.
If you care about the children of this country, if you care about the children of the future, then you need to be stood with us and raising awareness for what's going on. The children of the future. If we're not there to protect them, if we're not there to raise awareness for them and be their voice, then who the fuck are we? If we don't stand up for children, then who the hell do we stand up for?
No. Come on. You walk with me.
No!
I'm sorry, darling, you've got to. Come on.
Get off me!
I'm not touching you right now. Come on.
No, well, don't touch me.
I will have to if you're not going to move for me. Come on. Pardon? You might. What from?
Come on, Paige.
Come on. Come on. I'm not going to hurt you. Come on.
If you say to me,
just walk me.
No.
No?
Paige.
I don't want to hurt you. If you've got poor elbow, where's it hurting? On your elbow? Your wrist? Whereabouts is it hurting?
As a family unit, but that's why I'm going to
Headache because he bought you.
I know it's not nice, but listen, I told you it's not going to go away, didn't I?
Well,
we can't leave.
You can.
I can't.
You can.
I've got a job to do, and the courts have said that we've got to do this, okay?
If I come with you, I'll have to kill you all.
We'll talk about that later. I know you feel like you want to do that, but...
I'm not coming!
Come on.
No! Come
on.
Get off me!
Come on. Get
Come on.
off! Listen, darling. I don't want to hurt you. So just come with me, okay?
No!
Come on. Twizzle your legs around for me. No. Come on, sweetheart.
Get off me!
Paige, come on. Come on, just walk. Calm down. Come on. It's not clever.
Well, get off me then!
Stand up, Paige. You stand up.
No. You need to.
Stand
We'll
up.
have to carry you.
We'll just walk out with
Come
you.
on.
Otherwise, we're going to end up carrying you, aren't we?
Get off me now. Right, walk with me then. Yeah? Definitely no? I'll have to carry you then, sweetheart.
Get the fuck off me! You're hurting my arm!
Right, calm down.
Get off
Calm
me!
down.
Calm down.
Walk on your own, can't you?
Come on.
You can walk
Get
on
off
your own.
me!
Stop doing that.
Get off me!
Paige, calm down. Come on.
Fucking hate you, Bagan. Wish you were dead!
Calm down.
Get off me, then!
Calm down, get out.
What nice thing to do.
No!
nicer just for me.
No, I won't do anything for you because you don't do anything for me.
I'm trying to, darling. I'm
gonna
trying to
get
make it
you
easy.
stuff.
No, you're
You're gonna get all
not.
your stuff.
I'm going to go get all your stuff.
I'll go and get it.
Come on, we don't want to ruin your shoes, do we?
We're already wrecked because we're too short to find you. Yeah! No! Get off me there! No! How can I relax? Get off me! I wish you were all dead. And I'll dance on your graves.
Hey G, I love you, my baby girl.
When I go to the hospital next year, we're gonna get... Just because the police officers don't mean you're strong and big and hard.
I don't want to be big and hard.
Well, that's what you're acting like.
We just need to...
Will you get off me?
Just walk with me then, yeah?
Well, I'm gonna tell them that you're hurting my arm.
Just walk with this one,
No!
Come on. Come on, listen, I've blocked your hold.
Get off! Get off me! Fucking bastard! Fuck, he's gonna kill you all! Dickhead! Get off me!
Thank you.
You happy now, Simon? Brian, you happy now? Are you guys proud of yourselves?
No, absolutely not.
You should be disgraced. You should be disgraced. There goes the thief, the accomplice thief, and the rest of the thieves. Parked on a double yellow line, you will notice on a double yellow line when there's plenty of parking. That's the Grimsby Police for you.
You've got your spurious reasons, you've got your insane excuse, and now you're taking it to a court. And here's a judge representing the state who's supposed to make a decision based on evidence. This is how it works. Who owns the judge? The state. Who owns the social workers? The state. Where do family law lawyers get most of their money from? The state. So here you have a court where each element of it, which decides what happens to the child, is beholding to and representing the state. Against that, you have a mother or father, or mother and father, who are in an alien environment they've probably never been in before. They are desperate and in great fear and trauma that they might lose their child or children. And that is called British justice.
Threshold meets so that you will agree with it, and your solicitor does do the same. And I speak from experience when I say it. Thomas, was there anything else you'd like to say to anyone watching this before we end the recording?
What I would say is, do not take the professional's word for granted. Please, please, please challenge them. You may have been brought up in care and you may be naive. That's the wrong word. You may be sort of trustworthy. Do you think so? Okay, let's go with naive. Please, please, please don't believe them. Don't believe them, no matter what they say, you know, they're good and they're going to do the best for you. The solicitors, CAFCAS, please, please, please challenge it every single opportunity. PM me, PM our team, we'll help you. That's what we're here for. Don't be afraid, but Once that goes into court, you get about 6 months, what we call a PLO, public law outline. And at the end of that 6 months, the child is gone. So you need to do something about it, either pre-court, during court. Do not give the power to your solicitor, your psychiatrist, your local authority, because they'll just steal your child and they make a lot of money from it. Simple as.
Before we go, you touched on something a minute ago, and I know there's going to be another clip of me doing this in a minute, but what's your intake on recording from a legal standing? Should the parents record, and what should they record?
For me, in my view, when you're talking about justice and you know for a fact that you're telling the truth but you've got no way to prove it, my legal opinion is you record, because I haven't seen any legal sort of contrary to what I'm saying. I haven't seen anything in law to say you can't record. And even if they did, I'd still say record, because that is the only way that you can prove your case. And what you need to do then is just ask the judge to use that as evidence. And if the judge won't let you, you simply appeal. You do that. And also, if you do record, type it out on a piece of paper or write out exactly what you can hear, and then ask for the judge to hear that in his own chambers. So you say, look, I've recorded this information. I've actually stated what's actually stated, you know, on that recording. Now I want you to go away in private and you listen to it. And if you tell me I can't use this, I want to appeal. Simple as that.
Thank you so much, Thomas, for joining us. And please, everybody, please look Thomas up. If you can't find Thomas, message me and I'll link you straight through to him. Unless you want to, have you got a page or anything that you'd like to share?
Well, I've got my academia website, but if you just look me up, Thomas Jones, I've got like a Union flag. You won't miss me.
And Big Ben.
And Big Ben, exactly. That is meant to be like sort of like sarcasm for democracy.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah.
It's the one where you can tell you're out from a crowd, though.
Yes, exactly.
And thank you, Thomas, so much for joining us.
Kate, it's my pleasure.
Every night in my dreams, I see you, I feel you. That is how I know you go on. Far across the distance and spaces between.